Allison Kaiser, and I'm a student at Arkansas State University, and I'm here to talk about autism spectrum disorders. We all know the word autism. It's super relevant in today's society. We're also looking into what it means. What is autism? Well, autism is now known as autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. According to the DSM-5, autism is characterized by deficits in social communication, social interaction, along with restricted, repetitive patterns of behavior, interest, and activities. So looking into that, your first thought is, oh my goodness, my child is not normal, when you're a parent and you receive a diagnosis of ASD. However, children with autism typically have totally normal IQs. They're standardly at average or above average IQs. Therefore, the child is not necessarily academically delayed. Most of those deficit areas come into play with the social skills and the social interactions. So here are some things looking at the familial and parental involvement with social skills and other aspects of ASD. So looking here, we have therapies. Of course, with any type of diagnosis, you're going to have a few more doctor's appointments and possibly a few more therapy sessions than normal. So looking at this, some of the most common types of therapy that are seen used with individuals who have ASD is occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, or ABA therapy. However, these therapy sessions are typically weekly, but they can't just stop in that therapy classroom. These techniques, strategies, and activities have to be done outside and practiced so that they become habits and are not just done in that classroom and then the kid doesn't remember it until next week. Parents really need to work with their students on these skills and techniques in order to develop those social interactions and those behaviors and get rid of those non-preferred instances. Next, we're looking at social skills. Of course, according to the definition, that's one of the main deficit areas of a child or person with ASD. So looking at those, there are several studies. Two that I wanted to point out was ELSE and Cipolla. Looking at those both look at students using technology to learn those social skills. In the one study, there are 5 students, all males, that use an iPad or a computer to watch these videos, and then they have to role play what happens in the videos. And there was a pretty big success with ELSE. He did notate that he wished he would have had a broader spectrum of gender and ages and not just worked with one specific control. Cipolla's is a little different. They did watch videos and they did respond to what was happening, but he did all ages 8 and up. I don't remember the number of students, but his study kind of came up inconclusive because he did have such a broad range of 8 to 18. So everyone was at kind of a different stage, so the social skills were not able to be baselined close enough together. However, I have seen this firsthand. Our therapeutic interventionist here at Horn Lake High School work with students with ASD with an iPad, and on this program, the students say the student's goal is to respond when asked a question. So the program will ask the student the basic questions. What's your favorite color? And the student is expected to respond verbally to that machine instead of the interventionist that's in the room with him, just to kind of eliminate that anxiety level of, oh my goodness, I do not want to talk to a person, because people with ASD do have those social limitations. However, responding to the computer will help us work up to responding to other people. So I do find that pretty neat and fascinating to think about. Next, and I might go out of order with these, but these are just up here as kind of key points that we know that we need to hit. So looking at this, most of the time when people are looking at parents, ASD, families, things like that, your brain automatically goes to little kids because that's typically when they're diagnosed. However, what happens when little Johnny's grown up and he's going to college? He's smart, he passed all of his state tests, he passed He made a 27 on the ACT. He's ready to go to college. Can parents hinder this process? Or, can anyone hinder this process? According to the study by Dallas, Ramage, and Ashmore, yes. Statistics show that individuals with autism that continue on to the university after high school, that have parents that make more decisions about their academics than they do, typically are not successful at the post-secondary level. I believe it was 46% of these students that are totally academically capable of going to college do not make it because of their parents. That is unacceptable. Parents have to learn that even though your child has a diagnosis of autism or ASD, that does not mean that this student or this person, this grown-up, is not capable of making decisions. I understand totally that some students do need help, and that's fine, but don't ruin it, is what the study points out, that the parents ruined the process for them. So parents definitely can hinder. Parents can also hinder them by not working through those therapies, and then it's a waste. Parents can hinder them by telling them that they are limited on things, when in all reality, anyone can work through anything, and there should not be limits placed on anyone if they know or want to work through them. Next, we're going to look at mental health, and these two kind of go together. A lot of studies are now starting to look at the mental health of the parents and the family, and how that could probably hinder how they react or continue to raise a child with ASD. So looking at that, Engel points out that when a parent receives a diagnosis for their child, it's scary. Their thought process typically goes to worst case scenario. Holy cannolis, my child is never going to be normal. He's never going to fit in. That's not true. People with autism function perfectly fine every day. So by providing the appropriate background knowledge and statistics that look at both ends of the spectrum, to where they're normal to the worst severity you can find, by giving them all the statistics that look at both ends, it can help alleviate that parent's anxiety and mental stress of thinking that we're always at that severe end. And also looking at the mental health, if the parents are not taking care of themselves, how can they possibly take care of a child that has special needs? Because even though you do have autism, you still have some type of special need, whether it be behavior, social, physical, or whatever. The parents have to take care of themselves mentally in order to successfully upbring a child that has any type of extra needs. Because there are all these appointments, extra appointments, thoughts, medications, anything like that can be an extra stressor and anxiety additive. However, Engel points out that typically parents that do take care of their mental health and seek out therapies for themselves and their children have a more stable home life. And most importantly, guys, you have to know your child, your student, whomever you're dealing with, whether it's a teacher, a principal, a parent, a cousin, an aunt. You have to know that individual in order to successfully work with that. And that goes for any child, no matter if they're a typical functioning child or if they have a diagnosis of some sort. You have to know that student, especially students that do have ASD. Because I know that if Johnny right here doesn't like to be touched, and if I touch him, that stems his sensory overload, and then we're not going to get any work done. I don't have to touch him and tell him good job. I can walk past him with a thumbs up, and he continues working, and he's learning, and so is everyone else in the classroom. Knowing how that student learns. So maybe Sally doesn't listen well auditorily, but if I can give her instructions on her sheet of paper step by step, I don't have to worry about it. It's learning your student, no matter the circumstance, no matter the diagnosis. Most importantly is doing what is best for that child, that parent, that student, whatever role you play, do what's best for that child. Overall, guys, I did learn a lot about the familial involvement with students and children that have an ASD diagnosis, but the overall consensus is know the student, know what works best for them, be consistent, and just embrace what you have, and do not be afraid of an autism diagnosis. It's not as scary as it seems. If you have any questions or any concerns, please do not hesitate to send me an email. My email is sorry, I kind of ran out of room there. Allison.bcroft@smale.astate.edu. I will gladly answer any questions or comments, and I will send you links of any of the studies if you'd like to read them. But I hope you learned a little bit, and I hope this was pretty informative based upon the how families are so intertwined when receiving an autism diagnosis. Thank you. Have a great day.